What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Tonight I'm with my friend Zach again, and we are going to be exploring a flooded Cypress swamp. Now the plan is to get our gear, get in the canoe, and paddle back a little ways into the swamp and kind of explore around, get a lay of the land first, and then we'll get in the water and snorkel around to see what wildlife is hanging out. So the goal of this video is to hopefully instill a newfound appreciation for the beauty of the swamp. You know, it may be night, it might seem a little spooky out there, but these freshwater ecosystems are critical habitats for a ton of different species of wildlife. We're gonna get our gear prepped, get suited up. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you in the swamp. As we paddled into the swamp, the moon was shining brightly through the clouds in the night sky, creating spindly silhouettes of the cypress trees stretching above us. Our first task was to determine some safer areas to dive, and we were keeping a careful eye out for alligators. After all, this is their home, not ours. Ancient cypress trees towered above us in the dark. I really love cypress trees, but I have to admit they looked pretty haunting when we shined our lights up into them from below. Their thick buttress bases disappeared beneath the surface of the swamp, and you could see a leftover line from past water levels staining the circumference. Zach spotted this huge spider. We definitely weren't alone out in the swamp. Out of nowhere, a manatee came cruising past our canoe. A routine drive-by inspection on his part, but it really surprised us. I'd never seen them here before. Once the manatee disappeared, we continued our swamp surveillance, and right as we were wrapping up, a familiar gleam caught my eye. You can just see his eye reflecting there. That's pretty cool. Little guy, maybe like 5 feet long. I felt confident given the situation, so I salivated up my mask and hopped in. I approached where I had seen the alligator slowly. It was a peaceful night in the swamp, and I didn't want to cause a disturbance. Sure enough, there he was, resting on a tangle of branches, his long, powerful tail hanging down beneath him. A lot of people are afraid of swamps because of alligators, but I find them to be something that draws me to this forsaken ecosystem. There is a comforting wildness to the presence of these large aquatic reptiles. In a land of increasingly endless asphalt, it does my brain good to know that there are still a few places that remain somewhat untamed. The calm surface of the swamp acted as a mirror, reflecting the intricate patterns of the alligator scales in perfect symmetry. What a privilege to witness this stunning creature from below the surface, poised and still in the dark. Again, I never recommend getting in the water with wild alligators. I have years of experience working with these animals, both as a biologist and an underwater photographer, but even my experience doesn't eliminate all risk. They aren't monsters, but they are strong and they are wild, as they should be. Eventually, we left him behind and headed deeper to see what else the swamp had in store for us. This is a really old cypress tree. It's dead, but if you look up here, you can see there's a whole other species of tree growing out of the stump. So even long after it's gone, this tree's still creating habitat for a whole other species, which is awesome. Man, if you look up too, you can see all the resurrection ferns, which is a species of fern that is epiphytic and grows along the branches. And when it's in dry seasons, it's like totally shriveled up and you can't see it, it just looks brown. But then as soon as it rains, it just leaves out. And as you can see, it's just exploded all over this tree. Zach and I noticed a white spot on the base of a cypress and moved in closer to get a better look. Alright, there are some dragonfly nymphs that have just come out and are emerging. And we're lucky enough to be here as they have just come out. He's still like translucent and pale as that exoskeleton hardens and he becomes a full-blown dragonfly. That's so cool. We quickly realized there were quite a few dragonflies emerging this evening. Beneath the stigma and spooky vibes, the swamp was teeming with life. It was literally bursting up and out of the water, preparing to take flight. We pressed on and found a shallow area of cypress knees that looked promising, so I grabbed my camera and slipped beneath the surface. The cypress knees were arranged like a random assortment of moss-covered statues. It was like an aquatic forest contained within a larger forest. A young crappie was hunkered down, taking shelter for the evening beside one knee. These fish don't look like much when held above the surface, but underwater their patterns are pretty amazing. Maybe a crappie, but it's not crappy, if you catch my drift. Cypress knees are a bit of a mystery to scientists. It's thought they might aid in nutrient absorption and gas exchange for the trees, but the general consensus is they at least definitely help with stability in wet and flooded environments, like a swamp. All right, you guys, shout out Zach, who's up in the tree for the shot. Doing great, Zach. It was time to venture even further underwater, so we kicked off into the dark. I was amazed by the vibrant greens of the roots and bases of many of the trees in the area. Again, swamps are usually portrayed as dark and drab environments, but these were some of the most brilliant natural greens I've ever seen. Roots branched out in chaotic, wandering directions, soaking up water and nutrients and ushering it up into the trees above. A mixture of algae and moss carpeted part of the swamp. But even these tiny underwater fields were home to life. A few small catfish were hanging out. I'm not great at IDing these guys. I'm guessing they're white catfish, but I'm not super sure. As I looked more closely, I noticed a tiny translucent creature in a clump of green. It was a ghost shrimp, busily sifting for tiny bits of food. I honestly don't even remember how I managed to spot this tiny guy. He couldn't have been more than an inch long. These shrimp are primarily found in freshwater environments. They're nocturnal and eat plants and algae, which honestly tracks, as that's exactly when and what I found him doing. As we moved on, a familiar face poked up from the floor of the swamp. There are a few species of cooters sleepily wandering about. was neat to watch these turtles navigate the underwater world of the swamp in the dark. We continued exploring until we reached an area that had several large cypress trees. The silhouette of the knees jutting up from the bottom of the swamp was pretty majestic. I know I'm biased, but come on, that's awesome. The scenes our dive lights illuminated were amazing. It's always special to get a glimpse into a world that rarely sees human visitors, certainly not at night. There are a few remnants of some long-dead cypress giants forgotten on the bottom of the swamp. But there are other robust ones that were still alive as well. Tiny fish hung out in the shelter of their base. The swamp is a haven for vulnerable juvenile fish that need abundant cover in order to survive to adulthood. There are also some adult fish too, like this largemouth bass sleeping on the bottom of the swamp. The shimmering skinny form of a bizarre-looking fish appeared below me. It was an Atlantic needlefish. This guy was curious about my camera and lights and came really close to check me out. These are a saltwater species, but they often travel pretty far inland in Florida, and it's not uncommon to come across them in freshwater environments. They definitely live up to their name. The pointiness factor is off the charts for these guys, no doubt about it. Another longfish, a gar, was also taking advantage of the quiet swamp to rest. The swamp is a strange and eerie world, especially in the dark, but there's no question it's full of life and worthy of our understanding, respect, and protection.
There's a common saying, drain the swamp, but I'm not a huge fan of that saying because I want the swamp to flourish. Because, just look at this place. It can seem spooky at first, but once you get in there, you can just see just how much life depends on this environment. And I hope this little exploration, if anything, gave you a little bit more positive feelings towards the swamp.
Thank you guys for coming out to the swamp. It's late and we're tired, so we're gonna head home. But I will see you guys in the next video.